I am very glad to see you, Signor. You're watching One Take Shakespeare. I'm your host, Penny, and I'm going to break it down for you in one continuous take. Well, viewers, I want to start this week's episode off with a knock-knock joke. It's relevant, I promise. Now, I can't actually hear you guys responding, but I trust you to know how this works. Ready? Okay, knock-knock. Interrupting Othello. No, seriously though, all joking aside, and it pretty much is in this play, let's get into Othello, the Moor of Venice. Now, this play was written... Hang on. One Take Shakespeare, Penny speaking. Oh, hey, pretentious scholar guy. Look, I know it was a terrible joke, but can I just get on with... What? What do you mean, I've already done Othello? When? Last month. Okay, I think you're messing with me. Hello, I think I would remember if I had already done one of my favorite plays. Huh. That's weird. Well, I guess I've already done Othello. So I guess I should think of something else to do for you guys this week, but what? Got it. Don't go anywhere. Okay, let me just put on my comic reviewer hat here. Now, let's dig into Manga Shakespeare. Now, Manga Shakespeare is a series put out by a publishing company called Self-Made Hero, an independent graphic novel publisher based in London. In addition to Shakespeare, they've also done graphic novel interpretations of various classic works of literature, some mystery and crime stories, and a couple assorted biographies, all since 2007, which is pretty cool. Every book is illustrated by a different artist, so you get a wide range of different visual styles and interpretations. And oh boy, do you ever get different interpretations. The Manga Shakespeare series contains everything from a post-war cyberpunk Hamlet to a Native American 18th century frontier King Lear to an Othello where everybody has wings. I don't know, because wings are cool. Now, I have not read nearly all of this series, mostly because the only place I've ever seen them for sale is London, but I own a couple of them, and I want to show them to you today. I've got this, this sort of steampunky Twelfth Night, and this Merchant of Venice where everyone is elves for some reason, and also this cool medieval gothic Richard III, which, as of going to press today, I can't find. Oh well. Anyway, so we've already covered Twelfth Night, so we can look at this without spoilers. Let's start with the cover here. We have Orsino and Viola and Olivia doing this kind of primary colors arrangement, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this is the most eye-catching of the entire series, but it's simple, it works, and you get a pretty good sense of what the relationship between these three characters is like. I also think it's pretty interesting that they've put Viola in the one color that's not typically associated with either gender, but I might be reading too much into this. Okay, our cover page shows us that this book was adapted by Richard Appignanensi, who's done the adaptations for the whole series, and to whom I apologize because I probably just pronounced his name wrong. And this particular book was illustrated by Nana Lee. Okay, one of the really neat things about the Manga Shakespeare series is that at the beginning of each book, you got a couple color pages introducing you to all of the characters and giving you their names and maybe a relevant quote for each of the characters, so you know who's who going into the book, which I think is really useful. I like to see who's who. Okay, our comic opens with a 2-page splash panel giving us a bit of backstory. It's a shipwreck. Surprise. Now, usually I hate it when Shakespeare productions feel the need to show us the backstory before the show, because the characters are about to tell us about it anyway. But in this case, it's short, it's simple, it's to the point, it's a pretty good setup, and if you look at the background here with this ship, you start to see this steampunk setting that they're establishing. So this is acceptable. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole comic here because, quite honestly, we don't have all day, but I want to show you a bit of the artwork. Now, the cool thing about doing Shakespeare as a graphic novel rather than as a stage play is that unlike in a stage play, you can do all the different locations and effects and different settings that you want. So, for example, we can have this establishing shot of Orsino's castle in the first scene, and then in the next scene, we can show you that it's perched on top of this cliff overlooking the sea. And if we want, we can also show you that the castle has a freaking takeoff strip. Yeah, that's right, Viola flies to go and see Olivia. Why? Steampunk. That's just how we roll. The art in this book is actually really pretty. I like it. The sets, it's detailed without being busy. The sets and backgrounds are really nifty for, hang on, I'm trying to find it. Here we go. This staircase set right here, can you see that? It's just one of many. It's not even the most elaborate. I just think it's really cool. And the artwork is just gorgeous. Look at this. It's a 2-page spread right here. This is another cool thing you can do with graphic novel Shakespeare is you can illustrate soliloquies like this. In the absence of being able to hear an actor's tone of voice or see their body language, instead you can just see what they're thinking. It's pretty awesome. You can also do this with, you remember those moments I talked about earlier where the characters tell you about the backstory? In a graphic novel, you can illustrate them in little 1-page flashbacks. For example, check this out. Airship battle. That is pretty cool. So, that's Twelfth Night. I quite like it. Now, I haven't studied graphic design much, so I can't really analyze the art anymore in depth, but I do know when I find something aesthetically pleasing, and this book is it. Granted, some of the costume designs are a little strange. They're kind of like 19th century meets 20s meets random. Like, for example, why is Orsino never wearing a shirt? Besides that, you know, it's kind of appropriate to the character. But all in all, I give Twelfth Night a thumbs up. Now, really quick, before I wrap this up, I haven't talked about The Merchant of Venice yet, so I'm only going to show you the first page because spoilers, but look at this. This is the first page. You can see from the first 2 pages of Merchant of Venice, illustrated by Faye Young, who's doing a pretty good job here, that this world is going to be detailed and fantastical and gorgeous and interesting. This looks like something that I want to read. Weird elves concept at all. So, that's Manga Shakespeare. Now, the big question here is, does it work? Well, based on the admittedly small sample that I've read, seriously, where did Richard III go? Anyway, based on that and the descriptions on the website, I'm gonna vote yes. See, the thing about Shakespeare is that Shakespeare didn't write plays to be read. He wrote them to be watched and seen. Theater is just as much about the visuals as it is about the words, and the graphic novel format is a really cool way of getting that across. And the manga concept, while admittedly it does seem a little random at first, I think is actually a really neat way of making Shakespeare's stories accessible to a modern generation. Wow, that sounded incredibly pretentious, but it's true. Shakespeare basically can and has been set anywhere you can think of, so why not take it a step further? Now, do we really need Romeo and Juliet set between rival Yakuza families or Macbeth with mutant samurai? Well, probably not, but it's cool, and Shakespeare should be cool. So, anything that gets people to realize that Shakespeare is cool with me. You've been watching One Take Shakespeare. See you next time.